Welcome everybody. I'm Jerry Jones, the director here at the Martin Luther King Center. And we're here to talk about a wonderful opportunity for our community, but more importantly, a vital need for our community, especially this weekend as our temperatures are dropping well below zero. Let me give you a little bit of background though. Earlier this week, our city manager reached out to our partners and to other departments to discuss what are the possibilities that we could be a resource for a community that is in need of shelter this coming weekend as the temperatures drop well below zero, placing so many lives at risk and in danger. And it was in that moment that we were challenged to see if we are able to step into this leadership role. Certainly, it exemplifies the level of concern and heart the city has for the issues that are facing our community, our region. And it gave us the opportunity to step into this role of providing an emergency shelter here at the Martin Luther King Center. I was able to come back to our team and discuss, is this a viable option for the King Center? And by happenstance, considering the lack of use of our facility this weekend, we're able to step into this role. It also is the fact that this is an emergency situation that allows us to step into this role in providing a space for Project Now to operate an emergency shelter during this emergency time this coming weekend. With that, to give you a little bit more details about the operations, a little bit about what is going to be happening exactly, I'd like to bring forth our great partner, Project Now, represented of course by Dr. Ford, who can give you a little bit more information of what's going to occur this coming weekend.
I want to thank Mr. Jones for his leadership, and I want to start a course of communication of deep appreciation for all of the partners and players that have contributed to this effort. What you see and what you're hearing today is the effort of long-standing conversation, many different individuals coming forward, and institutions and organizations fighting for a pathway that was not developed at the time. I want to thank the mayor, the city council, the staff that also posed the question, and of course, Mr. Jones and the King Center. We are a long-standing partner. Matter of fact, our organizations were on the same street, almost next to each other, and we have an abiding commitment one to another. I also want on the forefront to say the ecosystem that allows us to put a plan in place very quickly this would not be possible unless we're always in constant dialogue with an ecosystem of care, transitions, Robert Young, who you'll hear just a little bit more about, the Housing Authority, Christian Care, the YWCA, Third Place, Nest Cafe, the Northwest Continuum of Care that is led by Amanda as well. So all of these individuals and organizations have come together. Our goal, as it stands now in plan, is that at 9 p.m. this operation will begin. We'll run almost for 60 straight hours. And because of the inclement weather, we want to keep individuals here. Normally, a winter overflow shelter would break at 7 a.m. and then they would have to come back at 9. The weather is harsh. There's an advisory out for the harm of humanity, and we want to do our best. Now, this will take some work to be able to pull this off. Thank goodness, if you remember, it was just over 1 year and 51 days where we were in this same position. The first days of the Live Now Center, we operated on that Friday. By Saturday, we had the winter storm advisory. None of the warming centers were open in extensive reality. Many of the organizations were nonprofits, so we went Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, which is the observance of Dr. King's Day. So we do have some history in doing this. And so we're going to take all of the lessons learned and apply them. Also want to let the public know there will be 3 meals a day and snacks. And so we are organizing the food. The kitchen has been made available to us. There are many partners and individuals that want to help us and supply the resources. I'll give you the phone number to call at the end of my communication. I also want to say for volunteers, I know a lot of people are concerned. We had to work with a number of individuals that have already have been involved in the process to be able to get them vetted real quickly, make sure that we have a shared plan. So volunteers will be from the Project Now side and also from the Third Place. And so individuals that have been working with this population, it's the same population coming from Third Place over, so this is going to be helpful for us. There's also been churches and faith institutions, they have roles to play, they've already been committed. And again, this would be not possible unless we've already had an existing ecosystem. To show you what a time span is, or the lack thereof, I was on my way from Rhode Island, had been there, and I had the COT team, the Continuum of Care team, coming from a California conference on the latest updates on funding from HUD that directly impacts this population. So as they were coming back, I was in Rhode Island. The last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, the phones were lighting up. People were saying, we're in trouble. If we don't have a shelter by the end of the week, somebody's going to die. The coroner, of course, put out a notification that unless we get more beds, the loss of life is imminent. And so I'm on the phone and in between sessions and trying to communicate. That morning for me, yesterday morning started at 2 a.m., made it to the airport by 4 o'clock, the first thing back smoking. While in communication, we had two other possible sites fall through the cracks. Couldn't be approved. That wasn't in the city of Rock Island, because I want the public to know we have never stopped working with other municipalities, been in constant dialogue, trying to find a pathway forward. And so I told the team, assemble the team at 1:30. We're gonna have to have an emergency meeting. As soon as I got out of the car from the airport, walked in at 1:30, I sat down, Mary came in to the conference room with a phone and said, I just got a communication from Jerry Jones that we may have a plan forward. All things still work together for the good, and we have to believe that. And so where we had lost 2 other opportunities, we gained 1, and because all of the partners were always at the table, we were able to move forward quickly. We're gonna need donations. You can go through the list. We'll be posting on our Facebook page, but it's the regular list of needed realities. Snacks are always wonderful. Water, coffee, toiletries, wet wipes, paper towels, tissue, all those things are still going to be needed. Now, people are gonna ask, how many beds? We don't know yet. The fire marshal has to do his work and make sure that we're secure. We wanna allow the process to run its full course and not preempt that. However, we do know that we believe it's going to have enough opportunity to take care of what has been almost the regular number of people that we have served. I hope it's extended. I don't know what the number is going to be, but we're going to fight for every bed possible. And then, of course, families. If families are unhoused, if you find yourself in a car, please call us. And I wanted to give that number for all things shelter related, 309-520-2452. Once again, that's 309-520-2452, and that number goes straight to our Lift Now Shelter Director, Chris Downey, who's at the far end here. She'll be facilitating all coordination of volunteers and inquiry coming in. We're gonna use the West End entrance, so that allows us on this end to have the parking lot also as an assistant, so that people won't be closest to the traffic outside. We're going to focus on this side here. We are also going to have the Northwest Illinois Continuum of Care and our homeless prevention, housing, stability, case management team, and intake team. There are a number of individuals that may be coming to us that could be moved to coordinated entry, which is a pathway up and out. We will start allocating funds. Last year, in the 12 weeks we ran, we were able to get 14 housed. And so sometimes every day counts, every hour counts, so we're gonna use each one of these days that we have. Robert Young Crisis Mobile Unit will be with us as well. Be parked into the parking lot to provide support where needed. We've already been in communication with law enforcement and all of the partners, emergency assistance, the team that works with ambulance care, and we'll be notifying hospitals as well in case there's a person being exposed to the elements that struggles and fumbles their way into the door. We can actually get them the care they need. We'll close down at 7 a.m. Monday, and we're going to do our best. We're working on transportation from here to the third place. And so we want to exit en masse and allow our partner, the King Center, and allow us to get back to regular operation. We could not be more thrilled and appreciative of the use of this beautiful building that allows us to be able to have people not simply on top of each other, but with a little bit more space and some of the egress rooms for other activities to occur as well. We're gonna save lives, and I think that's where the focus should be. And the things that we differ on as a society become small when the things that are major presses before our conscience, which is the saving of a human life. We can figure the rest out. We have 3 days to do that. And I'm so thankful that we have a chance just not to shelter, but to save a life. I want to ask, as I prepare to end my comments and welcome the Mayor Pro Tem to give from a city's perspective and a council perspective of this wonderful opportunity. You've heard me make the quote of Antonio Gramsci before: the old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born. This is a time of monsters. And so many of us focus on the monstrous reality of dealing with the horrible conditions so many people have to live in, and the beast-like commitments of an environment that seems to tear at their human flesh. But I want to focus on the fact that the new world struggles to be born. Nothing comes easy. And if we were looking for something easy, easy went out the window a long time ago. All we have left is the necessary. And I want us to focus on that which is necessary. And we are thankful for the Mayor Pro Tem being with us. Councilman Mark Poulos will come and give reflections and additional information from the city standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ford and members of the council, Jerry. It is my pleasure to introduce Glenn Evans as the first ward alderperson, Jenny Swanson as the fourth ward alderperson, Linda Barnes as the third ward alderperson. I'm sorry that Mayor Harris, although he wanted to be here, he had another appointment scheduled, so he asked that I come in his place. I would also like to thank our partners, Jerry Jones and Project Now, Dr. Ford, for coming together and getting this plan together in as rapid a time period as you had. We had very little notice. We're gonna have sub-zero weather. What are we gonna do? We reached out, our city manager, Todd Thompson, reached out and called the alderpersons. Are you in favor of this? We absolutely are. Because contrary to what has been said, we do care about the homeless. We care about their circumstances. We care about the problems that they're facing. All right, we're just grateful that our partners were able to mobilize in such a quick manner to make this happen. I also hope that people understand that this is not a Rock Island thing. This is a regional problem. And the leaders of the different organizations, the different cities, the different counties, we need to come together. We need to get this plan together and work together as a region to make things better for those that are less fortunate. That being said, thank you very much, and I'll open it up for questions.
We can ask questions now?
I will direct all questions to Dr. Ford.
Well, what if you have questions for people other than Dr. Ford?
Go ahead.
Okay. I was curious how much of the response from the city is reaction to some of the social media pressure and some of, Monday night there were people, unhoused people gathered outside of the meeting. There were about a dozen that went inside. How much did that, in your opinion, affect the council's thoughts, maybe the city manager's thoughts? Do you think that had an impact?
The impact came with the notice to us that the weather, the temperature were going to be in sub-zero conditions, which makes it very dangerous. We had to do something. The social media comments, they'll be what they'll be. We cannot control that. They are misled. They're not.
Maybe I put you down the wrong path there. I'm maybe more interested in the people that showed up outside of the city council and went to the meeting.
We were going down this path long before they ever showed up.
Okay.
I know we don't have a number of beds and we're waiting on fire marshals, but what spaces can you utilize in the building? I know there's classrooms on the other side. Will it mainly be this room?
So the
Do we know what we're
conference
using?
center space where we're currently will be the kind of central point for the housing or the overnight sleep stay. We do have at our disposal the lobby as well, which we will utilize, and then also the room adjacent to it, and as a makeshift cafeteria. And there is also additional shelving units that we're going to make available for all of the donations and things that people will be assembling for themselves for their future. The kitchen has been made available to us as well. Mr. Jones and the team have rolled out the red carpet for us. They really have. Whatever we have asked, as we just recently at 10 a.m., we were doing the initial walkthrough with Chris and Amanda from the COC and Mr. Jones. We were just asking ourselves all the hard questions: where would the volunteer posts would be, how to egress, what spaces would not be allowed, simply because they're in operations as well. And so we're trying to make sure that this doesn't disturb the populations that are already scheduled to be here. We want to be sensitive. We want to be a good collaborative partner, and we want the best outcomes, yes, for those that are immediately impacted by harsh weather, but also from the many patrons in the community here that has welcomed us into their lives and homes.
I have two questions, one for you and one again for the council. Is there an estimated cost on, right now, I know a lot of it's volunteer and a lot of it's last minute, but do you have an idea of what this is gonna cost and where that's gonna land?
I don't know where the, all of the costs. We have hired 7 individuals that we will work with to help us facilitate it. Some individuals, of course, will be from our staff who are already on payroll.
Right.
We'll augment that with overtime and do shift work as well. The good thing about this process, being where it is now, is that we didn't start today, and we didn't start when we had the phone call. As Councilman Poulos had said, this was in the works. As we began raising resources with the state, as soon as we started operating last year, January 17th, and now we have all the needed resources to move forward. We were always simply lacking a spatial reality. So we'll utilize the funds that are in the pipeline. We'll take care of the team members that come out, and we'll augment that with the staff.
You have a better idea of costs after, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Question for the council, you mentioned a regional problem requiring, or obviously a regional response. I'm wondering, has the council engaged any other municipalities like Moline, like Davenport, in a discussion about what that might look like?
We have reached out. A lot of that is happening with the assistance of our city manager to find out what resources are available, and when we can have a sit-down discussion with them, with the city managers of the different cities, municipalities, and counties. Again, that's something that council will not be brought into until such time that that we can set a meeting. Due to the Open Meetings Act, we can't have a meeting and such without an open meeting.
So are you encouraging your city manager to engage in that process?
Yes.
Is that something, okay.
Yes. I know that our city manager has, again, he did a wonderful job reaching out, trying to find resources, and trying to get folks to come together on this.
Short notice.
Thankfully, he had 2 stars that were able to come together and make it happen.
Thank you.
I have a question. What was the process for waiving the ordinance? Did you guys have to declare a state of emergency? Did you have to vote on that? Was that a public vote to say, because obviously this wouldn't happen without the waiving of the social services licensing ordinance?
This is not a shelter, okay? This is an emergency operation, so that it did not go before council, although the city manager reached out, are you in favor of it? We did not oppose it because clearly this is a very dangerous situation, and we depend upon our partners who came through and we're able to, get a situation set up, at least temporary, and understand that this is temporary, because of this situation this coming weekend. Am I correct?
It is.
Just a quick follow-up. What does the city council, in order to waive any voting or council members taking a vote or anything, what temperature do you consider an emergency for the unhoused?
That's a discussion that I'll have to sit down with the city manager and other council members when we have a meeting, to find out what are our deadlines, or what are our cutoff points.
But this is precedent that if it's an emergency declared like by a coroner or someone like the coroner,
Again,
The-
there are
the-
sub-zero temperatures coming up this weekend.
the ordinance don't apply though if it's an emergency.
The ordinance, again, right now, the ordinance is for shelters. This is a temporary emergency operation, that, again, we'll address it when we go into it. If it was a continual shelter or an ongoing shelter, then we would have to go back to the ordinance. And again, we would have to work with our attorney and city managers and of course, council to make sure that we can make this happen.
Okay,
I'm
so
sure-
there's no vote. It was just the city decided, which I'm very, very grateful for, that there's an emergency and we gotta act.
There was not a meeting with the council members, to do that. Of course, we would have had to post the meeting. We just didn't have time,
Yeah.
okay? So our city manager reached out and talked to council members.
I also had one follow-up question. Who is paying for this?
I'm sorry.
Who will pay for this?
I know that we have some money set aside, and again, that'll be a decision by our city council and our city manager. Okay?
So, and here, I want to be sensitive, yes,
Yeah,
please.
appreciate it. You mentioned that this didn't start this week, so could you tell us when was the very first time this concept was ever discussed between the MLK Center and the city? And secondly, what other facilities throughout Rock Island were contacted with the same request?
I want to be clear, thank you for the question. The King Center and Project Now works together on various realities with people experiencing homelessness. And so when I said this isn't the beginning point, we've already established the needed trust. You can only move as fast as trust has been established in relationships. And so whenever I receive a call from Mr. Jones or he receives a call from myself, we have an established level of trust to say, how do we take another step alongside of each other? Now, as far as any other facility, part of the challenge with facilities in the city of Rock Island, I want to be clear that there have been other places, and I choose not to say that the other cities out loud, simply because some of the works are still behind the scenes. They have to go through their own process with their own councils and staffers, so I want to be fair to any process. But the city in Rock Island, some of the limitations on the spatial realities are going to be fire code allowances. Sometimes you have a big building, someone says, well, they could just go in there and fire marshal has to be able to approve it. And if there's certain things that won't allow human habitation in there, then it won't pass. So some of the places are off the grid for that too, that we have to look at the spatial requirements that are currently there, and we still have to follow the ordinance that is in place. So we have to be
Just to return
sensitive.
to my specific questions.
Please.
When specifically was the first time that this concept was ever discussed between the city and the center? And secondly, what other locations in the county, I should say, not just the city, were approached with this concept of becoming an emergency shelter this weekend? Or
The first time I heard about the emergency is at 1:30 yesterday, when I was in a meeting and I received a call from Mr. Jones. That was the first time we had even talked about this. And so we started from 1:30 and we gave ourselves a deadline to say we have to have a soft plan that can transport and move by noon the next day. We did that. And so we worked all through the evening, worked first thing this morning, and we're just wrapping up, of course, with the press conference. Two, I don't know if there have been any other locations that have been approached to the city. We just know.
Can the city answer that? Could the city address that, please?
We did contact, I had one of the churches contact me, and then I directed them to our city manager. And again, there were some limitations for the church that, with regard to the usable space, in order for them to be part of this operation. Understand, this is an emergency operation.
Understood. But again, for instance, the giant old artist building, sitting there empty for years and years. Was there any exploration of making use of the many empty buildings in the city to serve this purpose on a continuous basis, rather than just this weekend?
Again, we're dealing with this situation as an emergency situation for this weekend. If there are things that come up beyond that, we'll work with our partners and the city councils, to find out what we can do and move forward from there. But right now, we're focusing
But
on.
it's not the first time we've had sub-zero temperatures here. So I'm just wondering, we've had sub-zero temperatures here for decades. So I'm just wondering why this is the first time this has come up, and just for here.
Well, so, your point is well taken. We're not new to cold weather. The difference is that we always had secure contracts with 5 years in advance that ran through with humidity and of course, King's Harvest. So what was always in place was the emergency winter overflow shelter that was low barrier, that would normally be in operation December 1st. And so that's why we start December 1st, so it doesn't run into the harshest weather immediately. So that's the only difference now that we don't currently have for the region. You heard Councilman Paula said, this is a regional challenge. No one city has ever owned in its entirety the reality of the winter overflow low barrier shelter. It may be housed in the city, but it has always been a response from the region. The city governments contribute to it. The police and law enforcement work together on it. The councils are in communication. And for sure, the city managers and city administrators work behind the scenes whenever there is one, because it takes a regional response to this challenge. Thank you for the
Thank you very
directions.
much.
Does the
When is
media
the-
have any questions?
When is the fire marshal gonna be on site, and when will you get that final number for how many people they?
From what I understand, they have been earlier and have to return.
Right, that's correct. So we're expecting them this afternoon. I don't have an exact time, but we're expecting this afternoon to get that finalized.
Thank you.
It was asked, since this is an emergency, what's next? And Councilman Pullo said, we're gonna do two things at the same time. We're gonna stand with 1 foot squarely in now, which is the main first commitment, is to secure and save lives over the harshest of weather immediately. Now, winter's still upon us, we know that. The next foot the other foot is set in next, so that we can pay attention and start charting a course. The work doesn't stop with this, we have to keep fighting for a pathway forward. And city governments have a part to play in this, nonprofits, institutions, business community, everyone. This is our shared reality, and more importantly, we just don't share space, we share humanity. And I wanna thank City Manager Thompson as well for brokering the hard question, trying to hash out how do we care for the most vulnerable now. And now that this is secure, we'll keep fighting for what's next. And you can see how fast things can come together, not only with staffers for the city, but also with city elected officials, partners that are at the table, and a region worth of friends who said, what can I do to help? So this gives us some light. It may not be long to many, but for those that we're working with, every hour makes a difference toward their lives. So I'm gonna take this, embrace it, and get ready for the next steps. Yes, sir.
Is there a timetable for the organizations in the cities to work as a region on a permanent overnight winter shelter?
Yeah, I would dare not ever give a timetable. However, we do need to move with dispatch. And the reason I say that is because much of the resources we secured last year made a really solid case to the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, working with the additional funds that we have for the continuum of care and our homeless prevention services. That money, if I don't apply it to a shelter, has to go back. The sands in the hourglass flow but in one direction. I'm working against the clock here. Now, last year we got up January 17th because we had to wait till all of the dust settled from the discussions and dialogue from a sister organization that chose not to move forward with the opportunity at that time. And so we weren't able to get up until January 17th. We got a lot of cold weather ahead of us. The winter is here. The stakes are high. and lives are at stake. So we gotta figure this one out. Resources are accounted for, but I can only hold them for so long because the state is gonna say there are other places in the state that could use them if you can. Please.
Okay. Do you have an idea of how many, people you would anticipate to be served at the facility this week?
Wow. I know last year our average stay was around 27, 29. But that's the reality of having to turn some away simply because we had designated beds for men, family rooms, and women. And once you exceed that population, any others that come after that, I can't give that individual the 5 beds that we have on the men's side because it was licensed for that many women, that many men, and that many families. And that's why we told families to give us a call because we'll have to try to find a way to help them. We're gonna go with occupancy, hopefully with the fire marshal this time. So it won't be designated how many men or women. We'll go with occupancy. We have the great divider here that will separate the genders. That will help us facilitate the care and concern for them in a detailed way. And then everything else will be shared. Only the sleeping quarters will be separate.
Since you mentioned genders, will there also be accommodations for transgender and non-binary?
We're always mindful of such, and we'll do our best to be able to house and provide the safety and concern for each and every individual, regardless of their identification or their commitments to their own humanity. Great question.
Hi, Doctor. Thank you for the presentation and answering our questions. Just kind of a big question. With quad cities and greater quad cities, why don't you think more centers like this are popping up and assisting kind of this? What do we need to do as a community to come together for these movements?
Well, I mentioned the understanding of a shared humanity that requires all of us, our participatory agents, in not just the well-being of our individual lives, our independent families, separate and apart from others, but how do we see the world around us? Now, I am thankful for the opportunity we have, and I'm going to see how much we can leverage that. During the season of the shelter last year, I wrote an op-ed that was entitled "Shelter in Place." That this has been in many ways something that has produced a number of challenges over the years. We don't want any city to feel as if they're the ones that are solely responsible when everything else we do in a shared reality. Any big box employer that we get here, all of the numbers have to come from the region. Any major opportunity has to be a shared understanding. Why wouldn't we think the same about the challenges we face? When 324 Main collapsed, I didn't have to see if it was okay for me to help some people in Davenport. I found the resources that allowed me to jump the river, and we helped them immediately. I didn't have to ask for permission, and that's my shared humanity. And we were able to take care of a major obligation for every resident in 324 Main at that time. If we commit to a regional understanding that is employed by municipalities owning what they can do, not every municipality has to do the same thing, but all of us should be doing something. Whether it's day centers, whether it's a night 12-hour shift, maybe it's the warming center for them, maybe it's another shelter, low barrier that is only 12 or 15. That takes 15 off the registry, and they absolutely can do it there. Why do we demand a person from Silvis to travel over 4 cities to come to a city they don't even know anybody in, and to try to survive and stay alive from December 1st all the way to April 15th? When in that community, although there may be homeless or experiencing homelessness, there are faith communities that know them, there are people that look out for them, their family knows where they are. And this commitment here for the region, although expressed in Rock Island, it's going to do 3 things very quickly. One, it's going to secure those that are most vulnerable. And for the individual, that means everything. If you listen to their testimonies and people that are doing much better today, some of them started in a shelter just like this in an emergency manner. Two, it's going to take care of the families that are concerned about them and the loved ones. That maybe because of addictive behavior or mental health realities, they can only give them one night here or one night there, but they can't stay with them long term. They know where they are now, and we can still wrap around supportive services. Three, it's going to help the region as a whole. And so Rock Island is doing this one. Any city that wants to step in, be under advisement, if you want to do it behind the scenes, you don't want to get out in front of your skis, contact us. We're happy to hold confidentiality, work with you one step at a time, and we'll take one day at a time. Matter of fact, 1 minute at a time. Miracles don't happen in hours. Miracles happen in seconds. I'll take whatever I can get.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.